Before I even give you the official welcome to today's episode, I need to just sit here and be completely transparent with you for a moment. Sitting down to write and record this specific episode, it hit me a lot harder than I expected it to. So if you hear my voice crack, or if I have to take a heavy breath, or a moment away from the mic, or if I get a little choked up during this time, just bear with me, please. This topic is incredibly close to my heart. And honestly, it cuts really deep. Looking back at the seasons of my own life where I completely lost my self-respect and where I allowed myself to be treated like an afterthought, and where I repeatedly betrayed my own boundaries just to keep someone else comfortable. It's pretty heavy to revisit. It's honestly painful to remember the version of me that didn't think they were worth defending. But I'm sharing that with you today because I promised this podcast would always be real. And I don't want to sit here and preach to you like I've got it all figured out from some perfect, untouchable pedestal. I'm right here in the trenches of life with you. And even though it makes my chest a little tight to talk about, and even though part of me wants to just gloss over the hard parts, I'm choosing to push through the emotion today. I'm forcing myself to deliver these words because I know there is someone listening right now who needs this lifeline. Someone out there is standing in front of their own mirror, feeling completely broken, defeated, and disconnected from their worth. And if my vulnerability can help you find even a fraction of your own strength and self-respect, then every single solitary tear or choked up moment is so entirely worth it. So let's just take a breath together. Let's shake off the armor and let's dive into this. Welcome back, everyone, to Mirror Talk. This is episode 3. If you've been with us from the beginning, you know that this space is all about removing the filters. It's about standing in front of the one person who knows your entire story. the person looking back at you in the mirror, and having the honest conversation that most people spend a lifetime running away from. Today, we are tackling a foundational pillar of human existence, yet one of the most elusive things to genuinely cultivate: self-respect. Think about how we usually define respect. We talk about respecting our elders, respecting our colleagues, respecting the rules, or earning the respect of our peers. We look outward. We measure respect by how others treat us or how we treat them. But today, we're turning the camera around. We're looking directly into the mirror and asking, do I respect the person looking back at me? When you look into your own eyes, are you looking at someone you honor? Or are you looking at someone you constantly compromise, critique, and cast aside? True self-respect isn't a feeling. It's a practice. It is the underlying fabric of how you operate when no one else is watching. It is the boundary you set when a situation threatens your peace. It's the commitment you keep to yourself when it would be so much easier to break it. Over the next few moments, we're going to break down exactly what it means to build, maintain, and fiercely protect your self-respect. We're going to explore why it's so hard to maintain, how we unconsciously give it away, and how you can use the physical and psychological practice of mirror talk to reclaim it. So find your space. If you're driving, if you're walking, or if you're standing right now in front of a mirror, lock in. Let's get into it. Before we can cultivate self-respect, we have to understand what it actually is, because it often gets confused with self-esteem. They sound like siblings, but they operate very differently. Self-esteem is largely about how you feel about yourself. It's based on your perception of your value, your talents, your successes, and your appearance. It fluctuates. If you have a great day at work, your self-esteem goes up. But if you get rejected or fail an exam, your self-esteem might take a massive hit. It's highly dependent on external validation and current circumstances. Self-respect, however, is your internal constitution. It is not about whether you feel good about yourself in a given moment. It's about whether you are willing to defend your dignity, your values, and your boundaries, regardless of how you feel. Self-respect is what remains when self-esteem fails. When you fail a test or lose a job, high self-esteem might vanish temporarily, but self-respect says, I'm hurting right now, and I made a mistake. But I'm still a human being, worthy of dignity, and I will not allow myself to be degraded by this failure or by anyone else. Think of self-esteem as the weather, and self-respect as the bedrock. The weather changes constantly, but the bedrock holds the entire structure together. When you lack self-respect, you become a chameleon. You change your colors to fit into whatever room you walk into because you believe the room's opinion of you is more important than your opinion of yourself. You say yes when every fiber of your being is screaming no. And you allow people to speak to you in ways that diminish your spirit because you're afraid that if you speak up, they will leave. You tolerate mediocrity from yourself and toxicity from others. Look into that metaphorical mirror for a second. Ask yourself, have I been prioritizing how I feel over how I treat myself? Have I been trading my bedrock just to get a little bit of temporary sunny weather from the people around me? When you don't respect yourself, you essentially tell the world that you're on sale. You lower your price, and then you get angry when people treat you like you're cheap. Reclaiming your self-respect means taking yourself off the discount rack. It means establishing a baseline of how you will be treated, starting with how you treat yourself. We don't lose our self-respect overnight. It's rarely a massive, dramatic event that strips it away. Instead, self-respect is eroded through 1,000 tiny, unseen betrayals. It's a slow leak. Every time you make a promise to yourself, and then you break it, a little bit of that leak occurs. You say to yourself, tomorrow morning, I'm getting up at 6 a.m. to work out because my health matters to me. But then the alarm goes off, you hit snooze 3 times, and you sleep in. Sure, on the surface, it seems minor. Just a lazy morning, right? But psychologically, you just sent a message to your subconscious. My promises to myself do not matter. My word cannot be trusted. Do that enough times, and you completely destroy your internal credibility. You wouldn't trust a friend who constantly flaked on you, who lied to you about their intentions, or who promised to show up but then never did. Eventually, you distance yourself from them. Yet we do this to ourselves every single day. We flake on our own diets, on our own goals, on our boundaries, and on our own creative projects. Then we wonder why we feel anxious and ungrounded when we look in the mirror. Another way we betray our self-respect is through compliance at the expense of authenticity. This happens in relationships, families, and workplaces. Someone crosses a line. Maybe a partner makes a disparaging joke at your expense. Or maybe a boss dumps extra work on you without compensation. And instead of addressing it, you smile, nod, and swallow your discomfort. You tell yourself you're just keeping the peace. But whose peace are you keeping? You are keeping their peace while waging a war inside your own chest. And that is a direct trade of self-respect for external comfort. Every time you swallow your truth to avoid a conflict, you're telling the person looking back at you in the mirror, their comfort is worth more than your truth. And that is such a heavy burden to carry. And over time, that swallowed truth turns into resentment. And resentment eventually turns into self-loathing. You begin to despise the version of you that refuses to stand up for yourself. And honestly, I know that cycle intimately because I lived it. I spent years trapped in it. For relationship after relationship, I was the one who quietly erased myself. I became a master at sacrificing my own joy, my own peace, and my own happiness just to secure theirs. I thought that's what love was. I thought giving myself away piece by piece was a virtue. But when the dust settled from those heartbreaks, I had to stop looking at them and take a long, terrifyingly hard look at my own behavior. And what I found shook me to my core. This wasn't just happening in my romantic life. It was a blueprint that I carried into everything. I pattern mapped it right into my family dynamics too. And I found myself anticipating everyone else's needs, bending over backward to maintain their comfort, and prioritizing their desires above my own living, breathing self. Even in moments where the other person wasn't even asking me to do it. It was a compulsion. I was bleeding myself dry for a piece that nobody else was even demanding from me. It took me nearly 38 years to wake up to that reality. 38 years of looking at my own reflection without truly seeing the ghost that I'd become. It took almost 4 decades to finally realize that I was the one abandoning myself. And the truth is, I don't have it all figured out yet. I am just now, day by day, beginning to get the hang of what it actually means to respect myself. I am a beginner at my own worth. Every single morning is a practice of learning how to stand firm in my own skin. How to look at my reflection and say, "You are allowed to take up space." This brings us to the core practice of this show. Mirror talk. How do we fix this? How do we stop the leak and start rebuilding the bedrock? It starts with an audit, and it requires you to literally stand in front of a physical mirror. Look yourself in the eyes and stop hiding. When you look at yourself in the mirror, it's very easy to focus on the surface. We look at our hair, our skin, our wrinkles, our weight. We look at the external shell. But mirror talk demands that you look past the surface and stare directly into your own pupils, into your own soul. It forces an intense level of presence. You cannot easily lie to someone when you're staring directly into their eyes and into their soul, even if that someone is you. So I want you to try an exercise this week. Stand in front of your mirror, completely alone, where no one can interrupt you. Look at yourself and ask these 3 questions out loud. Number 1 is, where am I currently compromising my integrity for the sake of validation? Number 2 is, what promises have I been breaking to myself lately? Number 3 is, who am I allowing to treat me poorly? Because I'm afraid of being alone. Saying these things out loud forces the truth into the room. It strips away the rationalizations we tell ourselves in our heads. In our minds, we can rationalize anything. We can say, oh, I didn't stick to my goal because I was tired. Or something like, I let them slide because they're stressed out. But when you look at yourself in the mirror and say, I am letting someone disrespect me because I'm terrified of being alone, the pure, raw truth of that statement hits differently. And it wakes you right up. Once you face the truth, the next step of mirror talk is shifting from the audit to the affirmation of boundaries. You need to speak to yourself the way a protective, loving guardian would speak to a child they absolutely adore and care about. Look at yourself and practice setting the boundary internally before you take it out into the world. Say to yourself, I am no longer available for relationships that require me to shrink. I am no longer available for goals that I abandon the moment things get hard. My time is valuable. My energy is sacred. And I trust myself to protect it. This might feel incredibly awkward at first. You may feel foolish talking to a piece of glass. But what you are actually doing is rewiring your neural pathways. You're practicing the vocabulary of self-worth. If you cannot say, I respect myself, to your own reflection, you'll never have the courage to say, you will respect me, to anyone else. The mirror is your training ground, the rehearsal studio for the real world. Once you started the mirror work, you have to back up those words with action. Self-respect is built through a series of non-negotiable pillars. Let's break down the 4 most critical pillars you need to implement immediately. Pillar number 1 is keeping small promises. Stop setting massive, unrealistic goals that you know you're going to abandon by Tuesday. If you want to build trust with yourself, start ridiculously small. Promise yourself to drink a glass of water before your coffee. Or promise yourself you'll read 2 pages of a book. You could promise yourself that you'll walk for 10 minutes. But then, no matter what happens, execute. Treat that tiny promise as if it were a multi-million-dollar contract. And every time you cross off a small promise, your internal self-respect engine clicks up a notch. You begin to realize, hey, when I say I'm going to do something, I actually do it. Pillar number 2 is managing your no. Self-respect lives and dies by your boundaries. A boundary isn't a wall to keep people out. It's a gate that defines what's allowed into your space. If you're a chronic people pleaser, your gate is broken off its hinges, and anyone can just walk right in and trample all over your garden. You need to learn the art of a clean, unapologetic no. You don't need a 20-minute excuse. You also don't need to lie and say you're sick. I can't take that on right now. Or something like, that doesn't align with what I have capacity for. Those are complete sentences. When you protect your no, your yes actually begins to mean something. Pillar number 3 is emotional accountability. People who respect themselves do not blame the world for their current state. Yeah, bad things happen. Yes, people will treat you unfairly. But your reaction, your healing, and your growth are entirely your responsibility. So when you blame your ex, your parents, or even the economy for your lack of peace, you're giving away your power. You are saying, they have control over my dignity. But self-respect says, what happened to me was unfair, but I am the architect of my recovery. Pillar number 4 is outgrowing environments and people. This is perhaps the hardest pillar. As you begin to cultivate self-respect, you will notice that certain relationships and environments start to feel incredibly uncomfortable. This is because some people are only fond of you when you are compliant. They like the version of you that didn't have boundaries. because that version was convenient for them. When you start standing up for yourself, they may even call you selfish, difficult, or distant. But recognizing that you have outgrown a space and having the courage to walk away from it, even when it hurts, that's the ultimate act of self-respect. You must be willing to lose others to keep yourself. As we close out this episode together, I want us to take a collective breath and bring our focus right back to the reflection. Self-respect is a daily contract. You don't just sign it once and then look away. You sign it every single morning when you wake up, and then you review it every single night before you close your eyes. It's an ongoing, lifelong conversation with yourself. The next time you find yourself in front of a mirror, whether you're washing your face, brushing your teeth, or checking on your outfit before you walk out the door, I want you to pause for just 10 seconds. Look past the clothing. Look past the imperfections. Look straight into your own eyes and into your soul, and acknowledge the warrior that has survived every single bad day you've ever had. Remind yourself that the person looking back at you is the only person who will be with you from the first breath you take to the absolute last. Everyone else is a visitor in your story. You are the only permanent resident. So treat that resident with the highest level of honor, care, and dignity possible. Stop negotiating your worth with people who don't even know their own. Stop begging for a seat at tables where you are barely tolerated when you have the power to build your own room. I want to thank you for tuning in to episode 3 of Mirror Talk. I want to remind you to keep doing the work. Keep standing in front of the glass. Keep telling yourself the truth. And most importantly, keep showing up for the person looking back at you in that mirror. Until next time, protect your peace. Honor your boundaries. And respect your reflection. Take care, everyone. I'll see you in the mirror.